Jesus has a way of not being intimidated by where you are. I don't care where you are, Jesus is coming to you. Say to your neighbor, say, he's coming to you. No matter what the situation is, no matter what your circumstances is, he's coming to you. And then there's another little guy that we want to talk about whose name is Thomas. Thomas sort of kind of moves around with Jesus, but he doesn't believe in anything. Doesn't believe in any of the healings. Doesn't believe in any of the miracles. Doesn't believe that if he eat any deadly thing, it shall not harm him. He probably don't really even believe in Jesus. You'll have people that will move with you in your circles. Some will cuss and carry a knife. Some will collect taxes in the daytime and turn tricks in the night. And others would just doubt. He had another 8 disciples that the scriptures doesn't really talk about what they did. So you'll have people with you that you won't even know what it is that they do. Everybody walking with you is not going with you. Everybody standing with you is standing up is not standing with you. You got to make sure that you have Jesus on board when you launch out in life. He comes into this particular room because Jesus's purpose is to change lives. His purpose is to what? Is to what? Change lives. Is there anybody in this room whose life has been changed by Jesus? Yeah, I'm going to ask that question one more time. Your life has been changed by Jesus. And you know it's been changed by Jesus. Because had it not been for the Lord, you wouldn't be here today. I went through a series of situations in my life that I exercised great restraints. And when I was exercising those great restraints, it came to me that I must be saved. Because there's nothing in my natural nature that would make me back down from what was, from what I was going through at that particular time. So not only is Jesus a mind regulator, but he's a person that knows how to hold your fist. Yeah. So Jesus gathers together, and he has all these disciples that move with him, and they walk with Jesus, and they fellowship with Jesus. They feed the multitudes with the loaves and the fishes. Folks are being resurrected from the dead. He blows on them, and they go out and they lay hands on the sick, and the sick recover. And at the end of this journey, Jesus brings them to this central location, carries them into the upper room, and when they get to the upper room, an argument breaks out. Inside the room, they're trying to figure out who is going to be the greatest. Who's going to be the greatest? But Jesus has another question that he would like to have answered. And that question is, he says, one of you are going to betray me tonight. When Jesus speaks this word, it changes the entire conversation. It starts off first when them asking Jesus, who is going to be greatest among you? But when Jesus says, one of you are going to betray me tonight, they all start asking the question, is it I? Is it I? Is it I? While the feast of the Passover is going on, Jesus sits down with his 12 inner circle disciples and breaks bread. He takes the bread first. He blesses it, and then he breaks it. Doesn't that seem that's how your life was? God took you off the streets, blessed you in the church, and then broke you amongst the people. The truth of the matter is this, is that he blesses you so he can break you. If he doesn't bless you, you will not survive the breaking. And he blesses you, and then he breaks you, and he distributes you around people. He uses your testimony. He uses your life. He uses your past. Yes. The disciples go into the room this particular night, and Jesus is asking a question. He then pours wine into a glass, and he preaches to them the lesson on this is my blood and the bread is my body. And he said, as often as you do this, you do remember that I am coming. He takes them out on a ledge, and he shows them all the existing buildings that are up. And he says, see all these buildings? There shall not be left one upon another that shall not be thrown down. And in 3 days, I'm going to resurrect it. They thought he was referring to physical buildings, but he was talking about dying on the cross, going into the underworld, and on the 3rd day, getting up with all power in his hand. You don't have to worry about dying if you know somebody that got power to resurrect you. Is there anybody in the room today that have had a resurrection in your life? Boy, I wish I was preaching to a church this morning. Yeah, Jesus is speaking to these disciples. These disciples have to understand that he's getting ready, Luther, to leave them. He's getting ready to leave them, and so he wants to make sure that all things are in order. They're asking one another, is it I, is it I, is it I? But there is one in the group who is chosen of God to betray. There's nothing Jesus can do about this. When Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane, he's praying a prayer. And as he prays the prayer, he says, Father, all you have given into my hands from the foundation of the world, I've lost none except one, that the scriptures might be fulfilled. There is nothing that Judas can do about this. He is handpicked by God to be used for this particular purpose, that the Son of God would be betrayed. Now, I don't want to start trouble, but I'm going to start a little bit of trouble. It seems to me that if you are born to do the will of God and you do God's will, it looked like there ought to be a reward for you after obeying God. I said I don't want to start trouble, but here it comes. It looked like if God called you to do something, and you answered the call, and you did exactly what he told you to do, it looked like there would be a reward for it. But folks got Judas dead. They got Judas in hell. I believe that when you obey God, when you do what God tells you to do, he rewards you for obeying him. Let me tell you how bad God is and how awesome God is. You ain't done what he told you to do and he blessing you. Can you imagine how wonderful and how awesome that is? Glory be to God. To disobey God and he still gives you oxygen to breathe. To disobey God and he still takes care of your life. To disobey God and he still blesses you. Had it not been for the Lord who is on my side, I'd have lost it a long time ago.